Tina here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. Now today I am I'm always super excited, but today is extra special because there's a brand new release that just went live over at the Simon Says Stamp Shop, and it's called Love You More. And I get to play with one of the background stamps as part of this new release. This one here is called the Heart to Heart background stamp, and it's a 6x6 red rubber stamp. So I thought we'd create a real pretty background for our card today. I brought in my Misty and a piece of Canson XL watercolor cardstock. I did treat my paper with my anti-static powder tool. And then we're using Versamark ink to go over our image, and I just stamped it a few times. And then we are going to take some gold embossing powder and we're going to add that to our stamped image. I thought gold would be really pretty. I wanted to take a break from the Christmas cards, so we're going to use some blues and greens today. I'm just using my heat gun to go ahead and melt that embossing powder, and you can see the print on here is super fun. I think it's perfect for Valentine's Day too. To color in my hearts for my background, I haven't watercolored in a while, so I thought it'd be fun to bring in my Daniel Smith watercolor dot palette. This is available over at Simon Says Stamp, and I've used these before. This is actually the second one that I've picked up. They have lots of different colors of dot palettes. This one here is Giannis Macula's palette. Super pretty colors in here, and then there's a wide variety of blues and greens. So I thought that would create a real fun background. Now I'm taping down my watercolor cardstock directly to my craft mat, and then I'm going to spray it with some water. I wasn't sure how well this would work, but you know what? It worked great on my mat. Okay, I added a little bit of water just to clean my brush off in that little dish, and then brought in a little towel to dab off excess water. And I did spray my cardstock with my water bottle before I started coloring. We're going to start off using some aquamarine turquoise watercolor. And all I'm doing is adding a little bit of shading to the heart area, making sure it's a little bit saturated. And I wanted to go for like another stained glass look, but this time with watercolors. And I really wanted my background to be a little bit on the organic side. So I'm adding different shadings. You can intensify your watercolor by adding less water to it. Super easy to do. But I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of music while I finish my watercoloring. And then when I'm all done, I will catch you back. Okay, I'm finishing up here and I just love the way this looks. I think it looks very organic and I really love the colors of the blues and then the greens. And the extra areas that I colored in with watercolor, I did with a very pale color. And the color that I used was the Duochrome Oceanic. It has a real subtle gold glitter to it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's my favorite. I actually bought a tube of it. It was so pretty. So there's a little bit of gold shimmer in the background. But I used my heat gun to finish the drying. We're going to do a little bit of heat embossing, so I make sure my panel is nice and dry. And then I did take a stitched, or actually it wasn't even a stitched, it was a rectangle die, and I cut out my panel. Now I'm taking my Versamark ink pad and just going around each of the edges of my panel, and then I'm going to dip it in my gold embossing powder. I think having gold edges on this is just going to help with those fine lines that are on the hearts. I think it just went really well with that. I'm going to use my heat gun and go ahead and melt that. And then after I have this done, I'm going to go ahead and back this up with some foam adhesive back fun foam. I like to cover my entire back of my watercolor project with fun foam because it helps flatten it. Watercolor paper for me does warp, and so fun foam helps flatten that. And also when I used my rectangle die, running that through the die cutting machine helps also. I'm just going to add some tape behind the reverse side of my fun foam. Since the other side already has adhesive backing, all I have to do is add adhesive to one side, place that on my panel, and then we're going to place this on an A2 size card base. And it just barely leaves me a little bit of a white border, but it leaves me enough of a white border to pick up that gold edge. I love the way this turned out. Okay, for my sentiment, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm bringing in a wafer die from C&CT Stamp. This is the On the Edge Love You die. And I'm going to die cut this out with black cardstock. This die has an open end, so you can make it as long as you want. I just wanted maybe a half an inch from my sentiment to be on this little sentiment strip. Just going to trim off the left and right, even it up. And we are going to fishtail actually the left end of our sentiment. And then after we have this fishtailed, I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer and trim off the right side. It's such a small area to trim off, but I didn't trust myself with getting it straight. So I'm going to go pretty much really close to the U when I trim that down. And I'm thinking this is going to look very simple. It's not going to take away from my real pretty heart background. Now I added foam adhesive behind my sentiment. We're just going to remove the release paper and add that towards the upper portion of our card. And then I skipped this step during the video, but I did add a few green sequins, 5 of them total, 2 above the Love You and then 3 below. Here in the close-ups you can see the sequins. But that's my project for today, guys. I encourage you to check out the brand new Love You More release over at C&CT Stamp Shop. If you're interested in any of the products that I use, they're down below as always. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining me. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.